While it is often difficult for an MMA game to be both an accurate sports simulation as well as an entertaining fighting game, EA Sports UFC 5 finds the perfect mix of both sides. It deftly balances these seemingly contradictory approaches to create something much more fluid and lifelike than past entries, while also raising the stakes of every punch, kick, and takedown thanks to an impressive new injury system. Couple these new developments with a solid career mode, and each step into the octagon this time around feels more exciting, risky, and rewarding. UFC 5's next-gen presentation is a significant improvement overall, with well-animated pre-fight walkouts and post-fight announcements that better mirror actual UFC broadcasts. An added bonus here is how the walkouts of specific fighters like Islam Makhachev or Alex Pereira are based on their actual movements instead of just applying the same stock animations to every single fighter. Their models are also uniformly excellent, creating a really solid likeness of some of my favorites, both mid-match and during cutscenes.
He looked as good as he's ever looked.
Attacking animations are much smoother too, as the control system within UFC 5 has undergone a pretty significant overhaul for the better. Striking your opponent, especially with kicks,
huge kick to the leg,
is refreshingly crisp and authentic, both better looking while giving you more agency over your fighter. Defense has also been redone, as blocks are much stronger, preventing flash knockouts and easy overpowering. There's a real snap to the movements now, and that added sense of realism is exciting, as I was able to build combos better and move much more nimbly than before. Another really nice touch is how smaller weight classes move much faster than heavier ones, mirroring reality, which creates more variety fight to fight. The new flow-based grappling and renewed submission system also removes the annoying minigames that plagued UFC 4. Those minigames often dramatically slowed down the action to focus on mechanics that you quite literally never use in any other situation. Now there's a simplified, intuitive control system, which just has you move your left or right stick to change positions on the ground. There's also a hybrid setting where both simplified and complex choices are presented, which I really liked because it made escapes from the bottom position easier while making more complex submissions available too if I wanted to go that route. Additionally, grappling and submission power were rebalanced so you won't find yourself getting pinned to the ground for the majority of rounds or finished quickly by wrestler and jiu-jitsu style fighters, which was always a previous point of frustration. All those tweaks are bolstered further by a significant improvement in the fight IQ of the CPU opponents you will face throughout most modes. Even at normal difficulty, I had to attack and defend more thoughtfully because AI fighters had a much better sense of timing and counters. UFC 5 is the first game in the series to carry an M for mature ESRB rating, and it's not hard to see why. The damage dealt by hits is much more realistic than UFC 4, with more sophisticated health events that have a deeper impact on fighters. For example, if you take a lot of shots to the face, it could break your nose and create cuts above your eyes. Icons in the shapes of eyes and lungs will then appear under your health bar as a result, indicating both a loss of vision and a difficulty breathing for your fighter. The damage can leave you with diminished capabilities, forcing you into making tough but rewarding decisions. Do you weather the storm and heal up between rounds, or go for broke and try to finish your opponent before it's too late? The animation on fighter faces for damage are incredibly well rendered and unique to each fight, accruing minute by minute and round by round. This means that a cut you open up on an opponent in round 1 can be exploited throughout the rest of the match until there's a finish or a potential doctor stoppage. A cool new feature where, just like in real life, a doctor will step in, assess the damage, and discern if a fighter is fit to continue.
They'll let him keep fighting.
In addition to depicting damage very vividly, blood and sweat from strikes will drop and gather on the mat itself, so you can see the results of your work in a Jackson Pollock-like design as the fight continues. The new damage system is further complemented by UFC 5's knockout finishes, which show a highly cinematic slow-motion replay that feels like you're watching a finishing move in a more arcade-style fighting game rather than a simple replay in a sports game. The revised damage system and slow-motion KO replays completely augmented my approach. Earning a KO has never been more satisfying, and I found myself chasing them no matter the risk they incurred. That's partly because there are impressive new fall animations for KO'd fighters from the standing position, where they'll drop face first into the mat, which have depth and weight to them that look like an actual person dropping to the ground. That said though, there are still some pretty stilted animation when a fighter is KO'd and falls onto their back. I was also happy to see that there were new and improved animations for TKOing a fighter with ground and pound strikes, where they'll roll on their side and curl into a fetal position known as turtling, which is a really nice touch. UFC 5's career mode is given a fresh coat of paint with an improved homepage as well as some lifestyle fixes. This includes the ability to simulate trainings that you've already completed in order to get to your fight quicker instead of grinding for 40 minutes on repetitious drills before every match. Even so, the grind itself is a lot more enjoyable because Coach Davis, reprising his role from UFC 4, barks out 4 different challenges for every 3-minute sparring session versus focusing on just one specific challenge. This creates a lot more variety and dimension to your training, pushing you to beat each challenge within the time span to open up the next. These challenges mix both straightforward directives, like landing any strikes until you reach 10, with others that are a bit more difficult, such as evading strikes by moving your head.
Awesome job. Let's move on.
As a seasoned UFC player, I found myself timing out or straight up failing the evasion challenges here and there. They were difficult enough to frustrate me, but not so bad that they drove me away from playing entirely.
Don't overextend yourself.
The new damage system also has interesting reverberations as you train in career mode. Getting cut during sparring is easy if you're not careful, and it'll result in penalties to both the amount of time you can train within the week as well as the money you earn. This is especially important in the early stage of your career when cash is in short supply. There are quite a few cutscenes with Coach Davis now too, and they're much better written this time. Coach Davis's presence throughout is not only welcome, but actively missed once his scenes become less prevalent as you move from the minor leagues to the UFC.
Making his UFC debut here tonight.
The presence of UFC star Valentina Shevchenko as coach and guide is a welcome addition in this mode as well, but her scenes are admittedly pretty rare, rendering her appearance something more like a novelty cameo than a substantive contribution.
It's a pleasure meeting you.
Nice to meet you too.
Other elements of career mode could have used some more TLC too, such as some of the copy-paste dialogue lifted right from UFC 4 for a good portion of the social media interactions, as well as the lack of new tattoo designs and haircuts for new fighters. But these shortcomings are eased by small additions elsewhere, such as a deeper sense of fan interaction on social media, like promising the type of finish you're going for in a fight or pledging to block half the strikes that are thrown your way. EA Sports UFC 5 is the best MMA game yet. Its next-gen presentation and refreshed mechanics are a dramatic improvement over previous games in the series, allowing for a more seamless and exciting recreation of the sport. The new damage system makes adjusting your strategy mid-fight more involved with plenty of risk versus reward decisions, meaning both offline and online modes are more enjoyable and replayable. UFC 4 may have been the best MMA game mostly due to lack of competition, but UFC 5 stands a class above it, earning that title on its own merits as both an amazing sports simulation game and fighting game alike. For more in the world of sports, check out our review of NHL 24, or if you want to tilt the balance more towards fighting games, our review of Mortal Kombat 1. And for everything else, stay tuned to IGN.